The salvage yard on Kepler 442b stretched for kilometers, a graveyard of starships from 100 different species. Marcus Chen had been working the night shift for 3 standard months, and he'd learned to ignore the strange sounds that echoed through the twisted metal carcasses. But the crying was different. He found her huddled between 2 collapsed hull plates, no bigger than a human toddler. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed weakly, blue fading to gray. 4 arms wrapped around her fragile frame, and her large dark eyes reflected the beam of his headlamp, like twin moons. She was starving. Marcus knew the regulations. Contact with unidentified xenoforms was strictly prohibited. The Frontier Authority had entire manuals dedicated to quarantine protocols. He'd signed the documents himself, but regulations didn't account for the way those eyes looked at him. Desperate, pleading, dying. He pulled the nutrition bar from his belt pouch and broke it in half. The child, if that's what she was, didn't move. Marcus set the piece on the ground and backed away slowly. After a long moment, one trembling hand reached out and snatched it. She devoured it in seconds. Marcus left 3 more bars within reach before his shift ended. He told himself it was just this once, just to help. Then he'd report it to the authorities and let them handle it properly. But when he returned the next night, she was waiting for him at the edge of the salvage field. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin glowed brighter now, healthy blues and greens dancing across her form. She made a sound like wind chimes, tilting her head in what might have been curiosity. Marcus fed her again, and the night after that, and the night after that. By the 2nd week, she'd learned to recognize the sound of his rover. By the 3rd, she was following him through his rounds, chittering softly as he worked. He named her Melody, after the musical quality of her vocalizations. "You shouldn't be here, little one," Marcus said one night, sharing his sandwich with her. "This is no place for a kid," Melody trilled in response, her 4 hands carefully mimicking the way he held his food. That was when the ground shook. The impact cratered the salvage yard, sending up plumes of dust and debris. Marcus threw himself over Melody as metal rained down around them. When the dust cleared, he saw it. The creature stood 30 meters tall, a nightmare of chitinous plates and rippling muscle. Its body plan was similar to Melody's: 4 arms, bioluminescent patterns, but scaled up and weaponized. Blade-like protrusions jutted from its shoulders. Its jaw split into 3 sections, each lined with crystalline teeth that could shear through starship hull plating. A Krathari matriarch. Apex predator. Galactic extinction event on legs. Marcus had seen the footage from the Tau Ceti colonies. 17 million dead in 6 hours. The species was considered mythological until 3 years ago, when they'd emerged from dark space and started hunting. The matriarch's eyes, dozens of them, fixed on Marcus. Then slowly descended to Melody. The child ran forward with a joyful chime, all 4 arms outstretched. Marcus's blood turned to ice. "She's going to," but the matriarch's posture shifted. The blade protrusions retracted. The killing jaw softened into something almost gentle as Melody crashed into her massive leg, chattering excitedly and pointing back at Marcus. He understood then. He'd been feeding someone's child. The matriarch approached, each footfall shaking the ground. Marcus stood his ground, heart hammering. Running was pointless. If she wanted him dead, he was dead. She stopped 3 meters away. This close, Marcus could see the scars crisscrossing her carapace. Burn marks from plasma weapons, gouges from kinetic rounds. This wasn't just a mother. This was a warrior who'd fought entire fleets. Melody was still chattering, gesturing between them. Telling her story, Marcus realized. Showing what he'd done. The matriarch leaned down, bringing one massive eye level with his face. Marcus saw his reflection in its crystalline surface, tiny and insignificant. He waited for the end. Instead, she straightened and placed one clawed hand over her chest where a human heart would be. Then she gestured to Melody and finally pointed at Marcus. It wasn't a threat. It was a salute. The matriarch reached into a pouch on her armor and withdrew something small. She placed it carefully in Marcus's hand, a token of some kind inscribed with glowing symbols. Then she scooped up Melody, who waved all 4 arms goodbye, chiming sadly. As they prepared to leave, the matriarch paused. She turned back to Marcus and did something he'd never expected. She bowed. Then mother and daughter launched into the night sky, 2 streaks of bioluminescent light disappearing into the stars. Marcus stood alone in the salvage yard, holding the alien token. His hands were shaking. His career was probably over, feeding xenoforms, unauthorized contact, violation of quarantine. But as he looked up at the stars, he smiled. 3 weeks later, the Krathari Armada arrived in human space. Every fleet, every colony, every station went to maximum alert. The species that had destroyed civilizations was at Earth's doorstep, but they didn't attack. They came with trade agreements, technology exchanges, offers of alliance, and at the head of the delegation, Marcus saw her, the matriarch. Their eyes met across the diplomatic chamber, and she placed one clawed hand over her chest. In the end, humanity didn't earn the respect of the galaxy's deadliest species through weapons or threats. They earned it with a sandwich and kindness to a hungry child. That, the matriarch would later tell the Galactic Council, was the most dangerous thing about humans. They'd risk everything, career, safety, life itself, for a stranger's child. What species could stand against warriors with hearts that foolish and brave?